Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Connections Realty Group and friends. I have my great friend with me here, Derek Griffin of the Derek Todd Agency. And I brought him in, y'all, because there's a topic that we need to address that's plaguing our community, but people are suffering in silence. We have now that people are getting older and they need a certain level of care, and they're not getting it. One, because we can't afford it, or we don't like the services when we're dealing with Medicaid or Medicare, right?
Right.
So we want to talk about that. And if you know of somebody in this, you make sure you share this clip with them. So Derek, please share what you've been seeing on that and what people are experiencing. I'm trying to take care of their folks.
Right. First of all, let me say that whether we know it or not, there's a long-term care crisis in the country. And when I say crisis, not only in the households, where many households are suffering in long-term care, because there's over 70 some odd million baby boomers in this country,
Yeah.
right? And those that are 65 are getting ready to go into long-term care situations. Over 65, 65. Those are stats. And a lot of them, if not the majority of them, 17% of them only have long-term care insurance. That means over 83% of the baby boomers
Wow.
have no coverage for long-term care. There's a crisis. There's a crisis in the household, but there's also a crisis in the system, the governmental system called Medicare and Medicaid, where they're running out of money and they can no longer take care of those folks who didn't get the insurance like they should have, right? Either because they didn't know it existed or it was cost prohibitive because they waited too late to
Right.
obtain
To
it.
obtain it. Okay.
Right. So I literally am on a tour, if you will. I have a company that's putting me on a speaking engagements all across the country, and I've written a book about it. It's called The Hidden Crisis, and because I had a personal experience with both my parents, and in dealing with that, I learned a lot. Number one, I learned that when you're dealing with long term care, typically it's dealing with an aging parent that's no longer independent. They no longer can take care of themselves by themselves. They need help. They need assistance. And 70% of people who ever have a long-term care experience want to be at home. But what happens is because we have families, I had a family, I got kids, I'm raising kids, I got a wife, I got a business. I can't just stop doing
Right.
that to go take care of a parent, and I'm an only child. So I don't
Wow.
have any brothers or sisters that I could kind of trade time with
Right.
to look after my mom or my dad. It was up to me. And so I write about it in the book, and it tells you it is HE double hockey stick to pay when you're not prepared for long-term care, right? So, and then the cost of it. The average cost of long-term care in this country is about ten to $12,000 a month. A month.
Now, who can afford that?
Even if you could,
Who wants to? Right.
why would I pay for that out of my pocket? You know, I
That's
mean,
a lot.
exactly. You know, most people don't buy large assets out of pocket. It's always about OPM.
Right.
Use other people's money for major cost items so you can keep your money to live. And that's what I help clients do to determine how do we strategically purchase the coverage where it doesn't affect you, you know, from a I can't afford it concept to different things that we can do creatively to cover the cost if you qualify for the insurance so they pay for it, right?
Right.
So one of the things that I did, and I'll give you my personal experience with my dad. My dad was a federal employee for 30 some odd years. Retiree, was in the Marshal Service, and finally, you know, retired, and now he's in long term care. And he was thinking that the government, and he's a veteran as well, Air Force veteran, VA. He was thinking that the VA and the government would cover the cost of long term care, and they don't.
Wow.
As a matter of fact, when I had to go take care of him, when he finally went into this state of he needed help and someone to care for him, I kind of looked at the paperwork and I was calling around to figure out where am I going to find money to take care of him because I can't afford to do it,
Right.
right? And
Right.
I got to get back home. So I was going through these papers and calling the government, calling the federal government, and you know the health insurance doesn't cover it. Blue Cross Blue Shield does not cover it.
Right. Because they do
Cigna,
more like
hospitalization,
hospitalization.
surgery, sickness. That's
Mhm.
what the hospital people think. My dad, I don't have Blue Cross Blue Shield. They don't cover this cost,
Right.
you know. And so, what happens when we start exhausting the solutions? Then Medicare, Medicaid comes in play, right? And watch this. I was looking at the Medicare, Medicaid proposition, Medicare will only take care of that person if they're in the hospital, and they'll only cover that cost up to 100 days,
Wow.
and then they kick them out. And the family has to determine, okay, where are we going to put the hospital's not keeping them because first of all, the hospital's like, okay, your Medicare's run out.
Right.
So if you as a family don't have the resources to take a loved one in your house and pay the additional cost to feed them, clothe them, transportate them, bathe them, I'm talking serious caregiving work, then you're going to go use Medicaid. Here's where our community has failed our families and our financial futures by using Medicaid as a system to take care of our parents or our grandparents. When you go to Medicaid, that system reduces your loved one to poverty. They take everything, every dollar in the bank account, their retirement check, some cases land, some cases homes, anything that they can get. And they even do a 5-year look back. Stephanie, they go look back 5 years to see if they're hiding money in your name.
So then they take that money to pay for the care before they kick in. Is
You're
that how?
yep, you're giving up the rights to take care of your loved one. You're giving it to the government, right? The government says, "You know what? I can't not service this person unless they're in poverty." This is why. The Medicare and Medicaid system primarily was designed for people who are impoverished, not people like you and me
Okay.
who have the means to make a decision today on getting the right insurance where I don't have to use the government.
Right. Okay.
So in order for the government to house you or your loved one, they cannot do it will be violation of their rules. So they have to reduce you to poverty before they can house you in their facility.
Wow.
So your net worth, you may have been worth $1 million or more. But because no one wanted to take on the responsibility of caring for you, right? And
Right.
you're not even in the right mind to know you can pay out of pocket to do it, and your family puts you on Medicare, Medicaid, guess what? They're gonna reduce them to $2,000 in net worth and take all of that money, y'all, every last dime, and your family will not get it when they die. And not only that, they'll
Wow.
put you in a godforsaken facility because remember, the government is not about making you happy
Right. No luxury,
and living
nothing.
in luxury,
Right. Right. Right.
right?
That's not gonna happen.
Unless you have a
Right.
government contract, of
Right.
course,
Right.
with the Defense Department. But
Right.
but nonetheless, I jest. But in a more serious situation, they're putting you in these facilities that have poor services, lack of support. I mean, people are getting bed sores and urine is. I mean, it's a horror story, y'all. My wife, her aunt, was in a local facility here called Sadie Mae. It's in Southwest Atlanta, and we went to visit her in that facility, and I couldn't wait to get out of there because the moaning and the groaning, it was like you were walking into a horror film, and the smell was atrocious. That's the government facility that we're putting our family in by not planning and preparing for long-term care.
Well, y'all, if y'all know me, I'm not emotional, but the thought of that, not only if it was me, just not because some people people are barely getting by, let alone taking on that kind of expense
Right.
for somebody else. And it's not about the love, it's about making the right choices.
Right, the right choices. And
Right.
so just to finish my thought with my dad, so I didn't want to put my dad on Medicare, Medicaid because I knew what was about to happen. And that's my inheritance.
Right.
I'm the only child.
Right.
So all that money that he
Y'all is
made,
not get ready to get it.
I'm not giving it to the government.
Right.
So here's the solution that I put in place because he didn't have long-term care insurance. I reversed the mortgage on his house. He had plenty of equity in there. It was only maybe a balance of maybe $20,000 on a $500,000
Well, that was
townhome,
good.
right? $500,000 townhome, $20,000 mortgage. That's a lot of money.
Right.
So I was like, okay, here's the solution. Let's get the money out of the house to pay for the care.
Right. To keep the other
And it
stuff.
worked like a charm. It worked. The 10,000 was coming out of that house every month. I don't mind that.
Right. Right. Right.
Because here's a stat, and God forbid that my dad passes on, but his health is declining. But here's a fact I need to share with everyone between men and women, when they go on long-term care. When a man goes on long-term care, watch this. Stats show, and I don't care what race you are, stats shows that he only lives another 12 months.
Wow.
When a woman goes on long-term care, she lives another 5 years.
Sometimes we nosy. We be trying to figure out all the other stuff that's going on. No, I'm just joking. But you know what? Let's go. I'm getting really emotional. And thank you for sharing that because a lot of times we don't know what's coming.
Right.
And so then you just find yourself in a place trying to figure it out.
Right. Right.
And what we're here saying today is don't find yourself in this place. Let's figure it out now.
Right.
So that's something. But we're going to go for a quick commercial break. When we come back, we're going to give you some ideas on how you can make that happen, kind of the estimates of, what that cost could look like when you get the plans. But we'll be right back in just a moment.
If you're looking for a realtor who's patient, caring, knowledgeable, who's an expert negotiator, and doesn't quit until the job is done, then you're looking for my favorite realtor, Stephanie Thomas, whose motto is, it's not about being ready, it's about getting ready.
Guys, we are back. Very emotional topic, not even because I've been there, but as you're talking, I can only imagine the stress. Not only the person who needs to be cared for,
Right.
the people who love the person. And we just, now you're here. You can't reverse the things that had not been done. So we know, y'all comment below, some of you who have been in that situation, what it was like, share what you may have found. But for those who are not in that situation, we want to talk about how you can plan to not be there.
Right.
I can only imagine having a parent that I want to take care of and I can't.
Can't.
Or even bringing them into my home, nobody, that's a lot of work.
That's a lot.
That's a lot of work, right? And not saying that you won't even bring them in, but for those, because I know several people who do have their parents with them,
Right.
even the needing help of sometimes you getting a reprieve.
Yes.
Or showing you how to do things, right? Getting a break, right?
Right.
We all need those things. And of course, we all are parents. So, Derek, what I would like for you to share. We know how much it costs when you don't do nothing.
Right.
$10,000 to $12,000 a month, right?
Right.
So, on general, I know everybody's situation is different.
Right.
What would you say is a gauge on cost to do a long-term product? And again, I know it depends on the person's a lot of different things.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
But if you had to throw a number out there in a little gauge, and again, not holding him to anything because everybody's different.
Right.
But what does that look like versus $10,000 to $12,000 a month that you go to if you do preventive?
Right. Well, you have situations based on a person's economic condition, right? Their home economics, home economy.
Right.
Some folks don't realize they may have resources that are sitting there that we can reallocate into a policy. One of the policies that we actually promote is a policy that I call a trifecta policy.
Okay.
It's a linked benefit policy, which means that it has long-term care, right, coverage. It has cash value, so you can borrow from it, and it has life insurance.
Oh,
Right.
okay.
So it's a linked benefit plan, and that plan can be broken down in many different ways, contingent upon the person's financial well-being. Right. So, for example, I have clients who can move money from savings and put it out of a bank, put it into the policy that I just mentioned, and still have access to those funds. But now they got more features. They got a death benefit, they got cash value, they got long-term care. In the bank,
There's nothing. Right. It's just sitting there.
right.
Right.
In this policy, that money's protected. But here's what I love. I had a client put $100,000 in one. They had the ability to do that. They shifted the funds
Right.
into one single premium policy, and they got over $500,000 in long-term care insurance.
Hmm.
5 times the dollar. Where else can you go in the market and get $5 for $1
Right. Nothing.
like this?
Right. Nothing.
Come on now. But then there are those who you want to do a monthly payment because that's their budget and they can do a budget. So we have ways where we can stretch it out and make it where it fits your budget and still get the same benefit, the same long-term care benefit. The company that I work with is one of the top 5 companies in the industry that specializes in these cash. They're called cash indemnity products. Let me share something with you. There was a company that was number one in the business for long-term care for years. 70s, 80s was, as they say, killing the game. But they had a reimbursement policy for
Okay.
long-term care. Very well known for it. But here's what happens with reimbursement policies. Check your grandparents or your parents. They may have that reimbursement policy, and the premium's going up on them.
Okay.
It goes up simply because the cost of care is going up.
Mm-hmm.
And the insurance carrier has to recoup money so they can get prepared to cover the cost of care.
Right.
And that's not good. I converted quite a few policies back in the day, back in 18, when I was number one in sales for long-term care for this carrier back in 2018, because I found people who had the reimbursement plan that was going up. And they're like, we can't afford
Right.
to keep
Go on.
paying.
Yeah.
So I converted them into the cash indemnity product. It gave them a fixed rate, level payment, fit the budget. They were like, thank you. Right. They're calling me to this day, thanking me because now they're using it and they're getting a check every month, cash money to take care of themselves any way they want to. Stephanie, these folks are elated. They don't have reimbursement plan. You have to collect receipts. You have to
Right.
do a report. It's very cumbersome to then turn into the carrier, and the carrier may only give you back 50% of your money
Right.
because everything you spent the money on to take care of yourself may not be on the list of services that they're covering. It's a
Right.
horrible way to do long-term care. But now we have these cash indemnity products that are awesome. I've got one. I got my wife one. I mean, I love it because if I need to borrow from it, I can borrow money from it for an emergency. It's crazy.
Y'all need to schedule this appointment. Now, I'm telling you, as I'm listening, even children,
Yes.
and I don't mean young children, I'm just saying siblings. I say siblings. You have a mom, you have a dad, whatever. And not that she's old or he's old now. Y'all need to sit down
Yeah.
on this Zoom call and say, hey, y'all, I listened to this clip. This Derek guy was on it. We need to look into some long-term care because who's gonna and why do we wanna,
Yeah.
however you decide to, you still want those options in that help in doing that. So whether the siblings come together and pay for this
Right.
long-term
And
care,
they
that's what I'm
can.
saying. Yes,
They can own the policy for the parent.
that's what I'm saying. Y'all get prepared. Like, thank you so much for sharing this information because I think people don't sometimes think this far, and you don't want to be in a bad situation. You can't quit your job. You don't want to, overwhelm yourself. And if you talk to anybody who is trying to take care of their parents, they love them, but they don't have the help. And so their quality of life changes.
Right.
And when yours change, you can't really be of good quality of life for your parent. I have a daughter who's married, and we all travel a lot right now. The way their money look like, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna live with y'all. So I can travel with y'all because I like the places y'all stay. We're on the same accord, right?
Right.
So again, y'all, we can't, but then we don't want to put the burden on our children.
Right.
I have 6 kids, and my kids will say, you live with us. I'm like, I don't want to live with none of y'all. Like, I want to go to the little luxury spot. So get your money up.
Yeah.
Get your money up.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I can go to, and then I'll just visit y'all. I want to live with y'all and y'all kids.
Right.
And they keep saying, if you try to go on there, we come to get you out. They say that now.
They say that now, but
So like I
trust
think I
me,
take
they ain't
care
gonna
of
come
it.
see you. They're living their lives,
Now,
right?
look, I'm one of the mamas. They don't come see me. It's gonna be a whole problem. But again, Derek, really, thank you for sharing that. Y'all, let's not wait till we get there and try to figure it out. Let's plan it so we can already have it figured out. This is a big one. Derek, give everybody your information because y'all, you need to schedule the Zoom. Get with your siblings, or if you don't have any, or whatever. Schedule this Zoom with Derek. It's nothing but information. You don't have to spend money that day. You might not be in a position to do it to 3 to 6 months.
Right.
But then at least you know what you're going for. You know where you're going to put your money at. You got your plan for 2024, y'all. We got to make this happen. Derek, please give everybody your information.
Yes. My email address is Derek, DEREK, Todd, TODD, agency @gmail.com. And feel free to call me direct at 404-324-1234. 1362. And I'll be more than happy to set you up with an appointment with my assistant. Yeah, we can
Yes.
help you out.
Man, we love y'all. Connections Realty Group and Friends. Man, we're going to keep bringing y'all gems because we love you and we care about you and your family and everything about it. There's nothing you can do about it. But I know it's time for you to go back to work or go back to sleep, whatever you're doing. And we'll see you next time.
All right, we'll see you later. Bye-bye.